Okay, so good morning, everyone. This terrific Thursday to you. This is the Foresight webinar, and our topic today will be how to export dietary supplements to China. Hello, Penny. Okay, that's all right. And I'm today's presenter. My name is Wendy, and I'm from Foodmate. I'm an international regulatory consultant. And I think during these decades, we all know that the Chinese consumers are willing to pay more and more attention to the health-related products, including dietary supplements. However, the domestic dietary supplement market is not well constructed in China. So the foreign dietary supplement brands, which have a good international reputation or qualified products, these brands are warmly welcomed by the Chinese consumers. So if you are willing to seize this opportunity, let's investigate in the details about how to export your product to China. And before I start my presentation, I will need to tell you guys that I might not be able to stop and answer your questions. So if you have any question about my presentation during their period, you could just type it in the chat box and I will look at it after my presentation. Okay, let's get started. And first of all, I would like to introduce the structure of my presentation today. First, I will give a brief introduction about how to export dietary supplements. And then the second part would be how to export this a normal food product to China. And the third part is to export this a health food. And then the fourth part is to export through CBAC. CBAC stands for cross-border e-commerce, which is a special export channel in China. I will give a brief introduction about this. Okay, so let's come to the first part, which is the brief introduction. In this part, I will introduce the current regulatory status, and also I will give some suggestions about the export channel. As we all know, dietary supplements is a broad definition. It could have liquids, powders, gummies, candies, tablets, and capsules. Different countries around the world are having different definitions about dietary supplements. Some of the countries take it as food, some of the countries take it as medicines, and they are all regulated under different structure. And for dietary supplements in China, or these mentioned forms, they are usually regulated as food. And it is separated into two categories. One is normal food, and the other is health food. However, if this kind of products are having pharmaceutical claims, it will usually be classified as drugs, not as foods. And to export dietary supplements to China, there are three channels that we could do it. The foreign dietary supplements can first be exported through a normal trade channel, and then export as a normal food to be sold to be marketed in China. And the second way is to also through a normal trade channel and then export as a health food in China. And then the third channel is to market through cross-border e-commerce channel. This channel is different from the normal import and export channel. It is a special import channel for the dietary supplements. Okay, so first of all, let's have an introduction about what's normal trade and what's cross-border e-commerce. For normal trade, the normal trade products are exported through a normal custom clearance process. It will have normal distribution and transportation process, like selling in stores, selling in pharmacies. This kind of channel is called the normal trade channel. And for cross-border e-commerce, which is also abbreviated as CBAC, the CBAC products are ordered online by Chinese consumers through the cross-border e-commerce platforms. You may heard about Taobao, Jingdong, this kind of cross-border e-commerce platforms. And after ordering that, products will be directly transported to consumers through a special custom process, which is different from the normal trade. So this process is called CBAC, cross-border e-commerce. Okay, then let's have a talk about the normal food and health food. For normal food, it usually refers to food products in a normal food format, like drinks, candies, candy bars, and solid beverages. And for health food means food with health claims or foods aimed to supplement vitamins, minerals, or other nutritious contents. Health food are suitable for certain groups of people, able to modify organic functions and not aiming to cure diseases. Health food should not bring any acute or subacute risk to consumers. So different from normal food, health food could have some special dosage forms like soft capsules, hard capsules, and also powders. And there is also a special thing about health food, that is all the health food products will have a blue hat logo, which says that it is a health food product on the label. You will always find that, and each health food will have a certificate number under this health food logo. So it is easy to differentiate a health food product from a normal food product on the market. You can just look at whether it has a blue hat logo on it. So health food product are also called blue hat product in China. Okay, so let's go back to this export channel. I will explain again. The foreign dietary supplements could go through a normal trade channel and also cross-border e-commerce channel. And through normal trade channel, you could export it as a normal food or export it as a health food, which is also called a blue hat product. And through CBAC, you don't need to follow the Chinese product standards in most of the cases. So you do not have to export it as a certain category. You could just export it as a CBAC products. So there are 3 channels that you could export your dietary supplements to China. Okay, so this is actually the most important part of my presentation today. This part is a comparison about these 3 channels: to export as normal foods, to export as a health food, and to export through cross-border e-commerce, what is their main advantages and what's their main disadvantages. For your own products, your own brands, because you have different marketing strategies, you have different marketing channels, you have your own advantages. So different brands will make different choices for their products, which export channel we will choose, which is the best export channel for your product. So from marketing channel side, there to export as normal food or export as health food, you could both selling your products online or offline. But for normal, if you export as a normal food, you are not able to sell your products in pharmacies. But if your product is a health food, you are able to sell them in pharmacies. And for CBAC products, you could only sell the products online. You cannot sell it in the offline shops. And the second is for reformulation. If you export as a normal food, usually you will need to do a reformulation according to the product standards, the product regulations. And if you export as a health food, almost all the products will need to do a reformulation because the health regulation in China is pretty strict. And if you export your products through CBAC channel, almost in most of the cases, you don't need to reformulate your product. And for labeling part, if you export as normal food, you will need the Chinese label, and you could use an add-on label to a product. But if you export as a health food, you need not only you need the Chinese label, but also you need to have all the Chinese content on your original label. You could not have a add-on label, which is also called the sticker label. And if you are going to export through CBAC, you could use your original label. You don't need to have a Chinese label for the product. For approximate time, if you export as a normal food, the approximate time is mostly based on your reformulation, and your label review time is usually about 3 months. And for health food, it is mostly depends on whether your notification goes well. And usually if you are going for a notification, it will be more than 1.5 of a year to export your health products to China. And if you go for a registration, it will be more than 3 years. And the difference for notification and registration, I will explain later in my presentation. And for CBAC, it's just a time of custom clearance. It's not clear, so I didn't put any data here. For product format, to export as a normal food, only products in food format are accepted. For example, the capsules, soft capsules, hot capsules, this kind of capsules are not accepted as a normal food product. And for health food products, you could both have food format products. You could also have capsules. You could also have other health food formats. For example, there is an interesting format in China as a dietary supplement, which is the alcohol. It could also be classified as a health food. And for CBAC, usually there is no limit for the product format. Almost all the formats can be exported through CBAC. And for the ingredients part, if you are going to export this a normal food, only food ingredients permitted in China you will be able to use in a normal food products. But as for health food, not only you can use food ingredients, but also you could use some health food ingredients. In China, there is list of permitted health food ingredients. This kind of ingredients can be also used. And for CBAC, there is also almost no limit for the ingredients. And just some of the special ingredients that are forbidden in China, like M&M. M&M is now permitted, but CBD, this kind of ingredients are still not permitted to import into China. And for claims, as a normal food, there's only claims permitted in normal food you could use, like nutritious claims. But for health food, there is a list of permitted health claims. You could have health claims, and also you could have supplementation claims on your health food products. And for CBAC, you could use claims that's accepted in your country of origin, but not allowed to claim health claims that is permitted in China. This is a quite strange thing, but the permitted health claims could only be used for health products in China. And for advertisements, the normal food products could only use the food advertisement requirements. And health food, as for health food, the advertisements must be pre-approved before it could be published in the market. And for CBAC, there is a special requirement which is called Internet Advertisement Requirements. The CBAC products need to follow these requirements. For inspection and quarantine, since to export as a normal food and as health food, they will go through a normal trade process. So they will also have their inspection and quarantine requirements for normal trade. But as for CBAC, it is a special import process, so it will go through a CBAC inspection and quarantine. This process will be faster and a little bit easier than the normal trade process. And the last is the GACC registration. I think most of you will heard about it. The GACC regulation is a new requirement start from 2022, January the 1st last year. So this new requirement is asking the foreign food producers to do a registration through GACC and to export as normal food and as health food. It is required to have a GACC registration, and for CBAC cross-border e-commerce, it is not required. To choose your export channel is an important decision of a brand. So I am giving some examples of how to choose your export channel. So for the first case, if your products are in food format like drinks, candies, and solid beverages, for example, collagen drink, vitamin candies, probiotic powders, or fermented drinks. For this kind of products, it is recommended to export as normal food. And if your products are in special format and your company is willing to sell it offline and also willing to spend time and effort in the Chinese market, you are willing to do a health food registration or notification. For example, your products are fish oil capsules or vitamin tablets. For this kind of products, it is recommended to export as a health food. And in the third case, if your products are with ingredients that are not yet permitted in China, for example, your products are with Western herbs, or with some new product probiotics that is still not permitted in China. But this kind of products, it is recommended to export through cross-border e-commerce channel. Okay, let's come to the second part, which is to export as a normal food. To export as a normal food into China, the most important requirement is to let your product correspond with a Chinese food safety standard. Why? The reason is that according to the Chinese food safety law, for all the imported foods, you have to correspond with Chinese food safety standards. And if your food does not have a corresponding Chinese food safety standard, the responsible party will need to hand in a product standard to National Health Commission in China to review your product standard. However, during this decades, there are only 2 products that have been reviewed and approved to import without a Chinese safety standard. So as a result, it is not suggested to import the food without the Chinese food safety standard. So this is a process flow about how to export as a normal food. So the first will be to find product standards that correspond with and gather all the related standards and requirements for your product, and then reformulate according to the requirements if needed, and do a GACC registration, and then do the label design and review. And the final step is the product exportation and importation. To export as a normal food, I will use collagen drink as an example to explain this process. So first of all, I have said that you need to have a Chinese food safety standard to correspond with. And for collagen drink, in most of the cases, you will use the GB 7101 beverage as your product standard to import into China. So this is the product standard. And then according to this product standard, you will need to gather all the related standards and requirements. For a collagen drink product, the related standards and requirements maybe the general standards for beverages, and standards for uses of additives, standards of maximum levels of the contaminants, the pathogens limits for food, and there are also other related standards for collagen drink. And then the next part will be reformulation according to the requirements. For collagen drink, there is a GB requirement for collagen peptide, and according to this standard, the hydroproline in collagen need to be more than 3 grams per 100 gram. And test method is also decided, required in this standard. So you will need to make sure that the collagen you use in your collagen drink can meet this requirement. If it's not meeting, then you might need to do a reformulation for a product. And the next part is the GACC registration. The product manufacturer need to do a self-registration on GACC. And when usually a self-registration is taking just like 1 week. Within 1 week, you could have your registration done. And when the registration is finished, the manufacturer will get a registration number, and the number now needs to be placed on your product label. And then it will come to the label design and review. In the previous section, we have gathered all the related product standards for your collagen drink. And there's also some label standards like GB 7718, the general standards for labeling, and the nutritional labeling standards. And besides the requirements on these standards, as I mentioned before, the GACC registration number will also need to be placed on your label. And the final part is the exportation. And for normal food products, they will go through a normal trade inspection on quarantine process during the custom clearance. Okay, then let's come to the next part, which is to export your product as a health food. To export as a health food, the most important and most difficult part is to get a health food certificate. Before I start to explain about the health food regulatory details, I need to give a brief introduction about importing your health food. There are two ways to get a health food certificate. The first way is a health food notification, and the second way is a health food registration. For import health food, if you do a notification, you could import your vitamins and mineral products. And for health food registration, through the registration process, you could get a health food certificate for other health food products rather than vitamins and minerals. I put a smiling face in the first way, which is notification, but an unhappy face in the registration part, which is saying that notification is a more friendly way than a registration, and I will explain why. For import health food registration, according to the administrative measures for registration and notification of health food, and another document which is called a health registration document review guideline. To get an import health registration certificate, foreign manufacturers will need to be on-site inspected, which means that some of the officers in China will need to go to the overseas manufacturers to do an inspection. However, nowadays, the health food inspection permit guideline is not having a inspection method. is not having a method about how to do a foreign manufacturer on-site inspection. So as a result, approximately from 2016, when the new health food regulation come out, nearly no import health registration have been permitted. And Foodmate will continuously follow up the latest health regulations. And once this method is published, we will immediately update to all of you that this new method is coming into force or being introduced to the public. Okay, and for import health notification, it's different from the domestic health food notification. For domestic health food, you could do notification for also products like fish oil and products like the protein powders. You could do a domestic notification. However, for imported dietary supplements, you could only do notification for vitamins and minerals because the State Administration of Market Regulations, which is the supervisor of the health food products in China, are giving related announcements and guidance to the industry that since in the current stages, the authority in China is not able to do an on-site inspection overseas, not able to track their overseas manufacturer status. So they only think that the imported vitamins and minerals are safe enough for a notification. And for all the other products as health, you would need to do a registration. The import health notification is having a process flow as the following. First is to do a reformulation according to the health regulations, and then you will need to do a pilot trial and a document preparation for the food for a health food product, and then you will need to send your products, your samples for a third-party testing. And in parallel, when it is doing the third-party testing, you could start to do your document notarization and authentication. And after that, you will need to upload the documents on an electronic system in China, and also through this electronic system, the authority will do a notification review and decide whether to approve your product. And if your products are approved, then you could have a GACC registration that we mentioned before. And after GACC registration, you could do the label design, label review, and also their exportation and importation. For a health food notification, I will take a vitamin C tablet as an example to further explain how the process will be. The first is reformulation according to regulations. The reformulation will need to be based on the list of permitted active ingredients, list of permitted excipients, the permitted dosage forms, the permitted manufacturing processes. According to all these regulations, you will need to do a reformulation. And then the most important part is that you will need to make sure that you could get a 1-year free sale certificate before you're handing your document to the electronic system. This 1-year free sale certificate can be issued by the in the best case, it can be issued by your local authority, like your authority in your local country. And also, you could have your Foodsight certificate from a law firm if it is permitted in your country. And in some of the countries, there are also some legal service center that could also issue this 1-year Foodsight certificate. However, it is not accepted if your Foodsight certificate is from a Chamber of Commerce. The authority in China does not consider Chamber of Commerce to be a authority that is trusted. So from nowadays, the Foodsight certificate from Chamber of Commerce is still not accepted. And the next part is about the pilot trial and document preparation. The pilot trial should be a pilot scale production instead of a lab scale production. Normally, it should be more than 10,000 preparation units. And you will need to produce 3 batches of pilot trials. And after the pilot trial, you will need to structure a technical document, you need to decide your product formula, you need to decide your process flow, your product specification, and your raw material standards, and the direct contact packaging material standards. The next part will be a third-party testing. Products will need to be sent to a competent third-party agent to do testings. The competent third-party agents are all in China, so you will not need to first send your products, import the products into China, and then do a third-party testing. If the manufacturer is able to conduct a stability testing, for example, you have internal lab inside your factory, then you could do your stability testing in your own lab, in your own factory. But if you do not have a lab that is capable of doing it, the stability testing will also need to be conducted in a third-party agent. To do a stability testing in the third-party testing agents, it will usually take much longer time than doing it yourself. So it is recommended to do it on your own. And the next part is the document notarization and authentication. As required by the Chinese government, most of the administrative documents need to be notarized and notarized and authorized. To do a notarization, you will need to contact your local notary to find out what kind of supporting documents you will need to do a notarization. And for authorization, you need to contact the local Chinese embassy to find out what's the documents you need. And the next part is to upload your documents on the electronic system. When all the documents are prepared well, the applicants can upload the prepared documents to the official electronic system, which is called the Health Food Notification Management and Notice System. And when the applicant finish uploading, the system will print out a set of confirmed documents with a barcode and ask the applicants to sign or stamp on each page of their documents. And at this point, the submitted documents could not be changed anymore. So once it is confirmed, it could not be changed. And next part is the notification review and approval. So after you have confirmed all your electronic documents, the documents will be electronically handed to the authority in China, and then they will do a review on the system. And after they review and think all your documents are fine and approve about it, they will ask you to hand in the hard copies of your documents. And after reviewing your hard copies, they think all is fine. They will also issue an electronic certificate to you. And different from the domestic health notification, the imported health notification could have different applicant and manufacturer. So in China, if you are a domestic health food applicant, you will need to be a manufacturer. However, if you are a foreign dietary supplement brand owner, you could have you don't need to own a factory. You don't need to be a manufacturer. You could have your certificate yourself and having another manufacturer as your contract manufacturer for your product. And the next part is the GACC registration. As required in GACC Decree number 248 and 249, the overseas health food manufacturer will need to do a recommended registration. Recommended registration means that the manufacturer need to be recommended by their local authorities and then register in GACC. So it also means that manufacturers will be supervised directly, or maybe indirectly through your local authority. So if your GACC registration is approved, manufacturers will be given a GACC registration number, and this number should be printed on a label also. And the last part is the label design, review, and the product exportation. After all the steps above, your label will be finally designed and reviewed according to the corresponding regulations, including the health food label requirements, the health food registration and notification measures, and also according to your health food certificates, whether there are some special requirements on your certificate, and then also the general label requirements like GB 7718. And for health food, there are also some normative documents about claims, about purchase warnings, and about production date. Your label design will also need to follow these steps. And the next part is about the CBAC, which is the cross-border e-commerce. In this part, I will have an introduction about the regulatory basics and some overall status of cross-border e-commerce. So for cross-border e-commerce, it means the Chinese consumers will order overseas products through CBAC platforms, and the products are imported into China through e-commerce bonded importation, which is a special process. The customs supervision code is 1210, and is direct order importation. The custom supervision code is 96010. The CBAC products should comply with the following requirements. First of all, the products need to fall in a list, which is the CBAC retail importation product list. And your products can only be sold for personal use and meet the CBAC retail importation tax policies. The e-commerce platform should place order also through a Chinese custom e-commerce transaction platform, and each order should have corresponding transaction, payment, and transportation received. And if your order is placed through Chinese custom e-commerce transaction platform, the responsible party should hand in corresponding transaction, payment, and transportation information to the Chinese customs. The CBAC retail importation product list has been published in 2019 and revised in 2022. If you want to check the full list, you could go to the GACC official website to have a look at it. The CBAC products are now supervised as personal product, and the basic guidelines are, first of all, the CBAC products need to comply with the quality, safety, sanitation, environmental protection, and other corresponding standards and requirements in their original countries. So the CBAC products nowadays do not need to comply with the requirements and standards in China. They need to comply with the requirements and standards in their original countries. And for the second part, the CBAC products does not need to have a Chinese label. And actually, in most of the cases, the CBAC platforms will ask you to have an electronic Chinese label on your website, the website that you're selling your products. But for your actual products, you do not need to have a Chinese label. And the third part is that for a CBAC products, it's for personal use, so you are not able to sell them out again. So you will need to make sure that you are not a distributor that's buying your products from CBAC and then selling in a normal trade channel. This is not permitted. You need to directly sell your products to your consumer. And for CBAC, cross-border e-commerce, the product manufacturers do not need to do a GACC registration right now. This is an overall summary, the overall status of cross-border e-commerce. Compared with normal trade channel, the cross-border e-commerce is having more advantages in your product flexibility and your product diversity. Companies are able to introduce dietary supplement products with novel ingredients, novel concepts into China with less efforts than to export as normal food or as health food. And also the product formula and manufacture process could be modified in a much easier way than normal trade products. However, the CBAC products is also having its own limits. The most significant one is that the cross-border e-commerce products could only be sold online, not offline. So as a result, The elderly, which are usually the target group of dietary supplements, are not that easy to get in touch with the cross-border e-commerce products. Most of the CBAC products, CBAC dietary supplements, popular brands are those targeting the young people. Okay, so this is what I said, the most important part of my presentation today. This is a summary of the advantages and disadvantages of these 3 channels. And as I said before, there is no best choice for all the products. You need to take care of all the advantages and disadvantages of your export channel, and then choose which is the best for your product. This is all I want to share today. If you have any questions and if you have more that you want to communicate with us, you could always contact us. And this is the contact information here. You could always leave a message or email us if you have any question about importing your foreign dietary supplements. So, okay, I will check the chat box to see whether we have some questions here. Okay, the first question. Is there any regulations or detailed requirements regarding to the CBAC inspection and quarantine? Yes, there is. You could check the GACC website. And I think I have posted the 2 numbers for CBAC channels. You could check the CBAC channels. I think it's this page. Let me check. There's 2 custom supervision codes. You could use these 2 codes to check on the GACC website to check whether there is any related regulation about the inspection and quarantine process for CBAC. And then the second question, is it necessary that we need health notification certificate before we start to apply for GACC registration? Yes. The answer for this question is yes, you will need a certificate to do a GACC registration, because when you are submitting your GACC registration, it is required to submit your health certificate, and also your health for the registration number is also needed for a GACC registration. So you need to have your certificate first, and then do a registration as a following step. And the next question, for stability test of functional food for overseas product, do we need to do by GB method? Yes, for stability test, you will need to do your testings by a GB method, because GB method is the only method that is accepted, that is permitted by the Chinese authority. I know it is kind of hard to find maybe a third-party lab in overseas to use the GB method. I would recommend you to have an English version of the GB method to hand in to the labs overseas and let them check out whether they could do it in most of the cases, the equipments are the same, and there's just some small differences in maybe the preparation or the way that they do with the machines. In most of the cases, they could do a little change on their process and help you to do the GB method testing. And you could also let them issue the report that is according to your GB method. And then the next question, for normal food and health food GACC registration, what is the normal lead time? For normal food GACC registration is quite fast. It's usually just a week. Within a week, you could get a feedback from GACC whether it is approved or not. But for health food GACC registration, in most of the cases, it would take like 2 to 3 months for a new registration. And if your manufacturer is in some special countries, which is not having a good maybe relationship with China, that sometimes it would take longer. But in most of the cases, it will be 2 to 3 months. Okay. I think that's all the questions today. And thank you all for joining this Foresight webinar. And yeah, if you still have more questions, you could always contact us. And yeah, that's all that I would like to share today. Thank you.